Hello everyone, this is Pastor John here with your week's edition of the Crossing Connection. We're journeying through the book of Proverbs, and today we're going to be looking through chapter 4. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend and hope you had a wonderful week. Please grab your Bibles so that you can follow along with us. We're going to only be looking at a few key verses. Verses 3 and 4 is what we're going to look at first. For I too was a son to my father, still tender and cherished by my mother. Then he taught me, and he said to me, take hold of my words with all your heart. Keep my commands, and you will live. And then one of the greatest responsibilities of parents is to encourage their kids to become wise. Here Solomon tells us how his father, King David, encouraged him to seek wisdom when he is young. And you can find those in 1 Kings chapter 2, verses 1 through 9, and 1 Chronicles 28, chapter 28, verse 29. I think it's very important for us to understand that for those that are parents, or really for those that are just older and have those that are younger around us, to encourage them and to support them to become wise in every decision they make. Wisdom. Encourage them to seek after wisdom. Wisdom can be passed from parents to children, from generation to generation. Ultimately, we understand as we're going through the book of Proverbs that all wisdom comes from God. God is the one that wisdom comes from. All wisdom, all knowledge comes from Him. It is through Him that we're able to be wise in decisions we make, and we're able to be wise in directions and where we should go. All wisdom comes from Him. We understand that all wisdom comes from above. And that's very interesting here, that wisdom can be passed from parent to children and from generation to generation. Wisdom is very important. There's a lot of things that we can teach those that are looking up to us, those that are either our physical children or even those that are our spiritual children. I think it's important that we encourage them to seek after wisdom from God. Verses 5 and 7 says, get wisdom, get understanding. Do not forget my words or turn away from them. Do not forsake wisdom, and she will protect you. Love her, and she will watch over you. The beginning of wisdom is this. Get wisdom. Through it cost all you have. Though it costs all you have, get understanding. If you want wisdom, you have to decide to go after it. It takes a determination not to abandon the search once you have begun. No matter how difficult the road ahead of you is, you have to go after it and continue to go after wisdom. And every day life, every decision you make, asking God to give you direction and wisdom is how you're able to handle those things. Wisdom is very important. And going after it and asking God to give it to you is very important. That's what helps you be the Christian that He's called you to do. Be wise in every choice you make. It's not a once-in-a-lifetime step, but it is a daily process of choosing between two paths. The wicked, chapter 14 of Proverbs, verses 14 to 17 and verse 19, and the righteous, chapter 4, verse 18. Nothing is more important or more valuable than chasing after righteousness. Not chasing after wicked things, but righteousness. We have to be righteous before the Lord. And I think it's very important as we're seeing those where we are in today's society, in today's world. We have to be righteous. We have to choose after the righteous things of God, those good things. And when wisdom comes into effect, it's able to help us stand firm. We have to be wise in every decision we make. And the path of the righteous, it may not be the easy path, but it is at the end going to be the path that's going to be the most beneficial to us as we are following Christ. Verse 7, the beginning of wisdom is this: get wisdom through it. The beginning of wisdom is this: get wisdom. Though it cost all you have, get understanding. David taught his son Solomon as a young boy to seek after God's wisdom. God's wisdom is the most important choice he could ever make in life. When God appeared to Solomon and asked Solomon if he could fulfill any request for him, Solomon chose wisdom over anything else. We should also make God's wisdom our first choice. In every decision we make, God's wisdom should be first choice. And we see that David taught his son, even at a young age, that the most important choice he can make is to go after God's wisdom. God's wisdom, God's understanding is the only thing that's able to help us through the circumstances we're dealing with. And that's very important to see. And God's wisdom should be the first choice. Not man's wisdom, not man's understanding, but God's wisdom, God's understanding, what he's wanting us to accomplish. I think that's very important just with everything we're dealing with in today's world. God's wisdom. Wisdom from above. God, how do I handle what we're dealing with? God, how do I handle these feelings of COVID-19? God, how should I respond to this? God, how should I respond? His wisdom has always been important, but it is very, very important right now as we're dealing with COVID-19, and not just COVID-19, but the racial tension, the election year. His wisdom's very, very important, how we should respond. Verses 23 to 27. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Keep your mouth free from perversity. Keep corrupt talk from your lips. Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Be careful, though, to the paths of your feet, and be steadfast in all your ways. Do not turn to the right or to the left. Keep your foot from evil. I think those verses are very important with everything we're dealing with in today's world. Guard our heart. Don't let anything negative, anything corrupt come out of your mouth. Keep your eyes straight ahead. Keep them straight ahead before you. Give careful thoughts to your paths and where you go. And let your feet be steadfast in all your ways. Keep your eyes straight. Be careful where you go. Guard your heart. watch what comes out of your mouth. Watch what comes in. Don't let any corrupt thought, anything corrupt, enter your mind. Watch what you say out of side of your lips. And be steadfast in all your ways. And keep your foot from evil. And don't turn from the right or to the left. Keep yourself looking forward to what God is wanting to do. Don't let anything corrupt, don't let anything negative come out of your mouth. We are in a season where we need to be praying. We need to be praying that God's wisdom would prevail. God would help us how we should respond, who we should vote for this November. We need to allow God to direct us, and we shouldn't let anything corrupt come out of our mouth about anybody else, anything negative. Look, we have to watch what we say. Because at the end of the day, all wisdom, all knowledge comes from above. We have to remember that. Pray that whoever gets elected to lead this nation would receive the wisdom from God, and that would ask God to give them wisdom and understanding every day. So we have to guard our hearts. Your heart is very important. This is where I'm going to close. Your heart. Guard your heart from evil things. Guard your minds from evil things. Well, guys, it's been a joy and delight to look at this week's edition of the Crossing Connection with you and to tackle chapter 4. I look forward to tackling chapter 5 next week.